What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Shedding Your Skin. Got the title right. Sorry I'm late. Ken and I were talking backstage for a little bit and lost track of time, doing some housekeeping things regarding the fundraiser auction that we are going to be working on for Stan at Sea of Serpents. As always, bring it up. Support US Arc. Boom. We are both bronze members. All right.
Bronze.
I think I'm going to do silver in the coming year. I feel like I've been doing this long enough. You know, the bronze tier isn't enough. As much as I hype up and talk about US Arc, I should be myself leading by example and jumping up to the next tier. Because ever since I've been back in this, there's been more and more legislation, things that constantly pop up at the local, state, and federal levels that we need to fight. And you know, at $30 or whatever it is for bronze, that's just not enough, at least for me to be okay.
I think it's 40.
Yeah, and part of that's paying for the T-shirt that they've yet to send me for this past year. Not that that's the reason why I donate. You know, I'm a member.
There's a tab to that email, that original one, because I didn't do it for the longest time, and I was looking through the email when they send you your thing, hey, you know, your membership, blah, 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 blah. And if you read down on it, it says hit this tab to select your T-shirt size. And if you could like send them, hey, I never got my T-shirt for membership. You could send them messages like that all day. But if you don't hit that tab and fill it out, they're not going to even respond to it.
I mean, I do. It seems like because when I realized that I didn't get it this year, I was like, I looked through my emails and was like, okay, it was November of last year. And I was hoping when I complained about it, I manifested that email into existence, because last time I brought it up on a live, I got an email shortly thereafter. And Nicole from Lady Tiz, she messaged me, hey, they're sending them out soon. I was like, so, but it's not that big of a deal. I just have an issue if it's part of your membership, you know, thing where I go renew at a show, I get the shirt initially, like as I renew. Whereas, you know, I've done it. I do it in the beginning of the year. Like I'm about to renew again for next year. It's sort of.
I think mine started in March, April, maybe last year. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that it's not that big of a deal. I don't really care. It's another reptile shirt. I got a whole cubby full of them, and 2 USR shirts already. But anyway, let's see who's here. All right, we got Greg from Rippin' Reptiles. What's good?
What up, Greg?
The man himself, Stan.
What up, dude?
I think we figured out his Printify link. I'm going to start posting that in some of these where he's involved over the next couple weeks, just so you can go there and it gives you another avenue to support him and buy one of his T-shirts. All right, what's up? We got Bill from Victory Lane. Thanks for tuning in.
What up, Bill?
Yeah, Jay from Green Line. Thanks for tuning in.
What's going on, Jay?
And Big Ant, he's probably doing a happy dance because the SEC got in the playoff.
What up, dude?
All right, who else is here? We got Thomas from Exotic World of Geckos. Thanks again for the isopods for the auction. All right, and it says he just got back from Orlando. So hopefully that was a good show. I know some of these around us here in Pennsylvania have been like hit or miss. You're either going to have a great day or, you know, a bad day. You know, I had a bad day when I was there, but I, you know, networked and did all that stuff. Got to see Ken there a few times.
It's just good to go to them shows to network, if anything. I mean, and if you're vending, I mean, I've said it before, like, I think you need the diversification of, you know, a table, like your table presentation. Like, you need to grab their attention to pull them in. And, like, you're just walking, seeing ball pythons. Well, what's that? Something different? You know, it kind of stops you.
Yeah, I feel that because I was where I was located at Gettysburg with Chris from BNS's table. It was on like the straight
right on the corner
from the entrance, right? So you're walking in, and that usually, if you're me, or think like me. You walk in, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go, start my loop. I'm just gonna walk straight and then zigzag your whatever pattern. So I think we got a lot of foot traffic of people coming in, passing us, and so many. Oh, more ball pythons. Oh, more ball pythons.
There was a lot.
And now, mind you, they had to pass pine snakes and corn snakes and whatever Chris had in front of, so they came in. I forget who was next to Nathan, but there was somebody there with ball pythons, and Nathan may have been first. I forget if he had that end table by the entrance, but ball pythons. And then you see the pine snakes, and Chris's pine snakes, and the corn snakes, they piqued interest. But then more ball pythons, then rodents next to me. So, I mean, it's just ball python heavy, or at least that show, in my experience, was very, very ball python heavy.
Right.
And that's the nature of the beast. Of the most popular reptile to breed, most popular reptile in captivity. So, I mean, I get it. And we're all competing with each other, at that show, with, not only animals, but pricing. So, I was telling Chris, I'm like, if I would have cut prices, at lunchtime, maybe I would have had more success in, moving those animals. But I was stubborn and thinking more like I'm selling to people like me, right?
Right.
So like $100 for a proven breed or butter, that's a pretty good deal. I would think, right? I could move that locally, to somebody that's interested in breeding for that price. Same with, the other animals that I had listed, and
not anymore.
Not at the show. It's like, okay, $25.
Dude, there was an auction a couple weeks ago. I think it was Jeremy with Danny DTMG, and there was like, what was it? I think a lesser hat clown proven breeder, and it only went for $100. So if you just get a lesser proven breeder,
I think
you're lucky to get $50.
I think he had a couple things priced higher, and as the night went on, he got frustrated and, amongst other things, and then dropped his prices, and then started moving.
Boom.
Yeah. Now, again, the market's going to dictate the price or something, right? It is what it is. If we're selling, pastels for $20 now, okay. If that's what, where you're going to get your most sales, you're not going to make money, but you're going to recoup something. You're going to get something. Excuse me. But we have this like thing in our head that, even if it's something that was popular a couple of years ago, we've grown it up as a breeder size. We're still focused on that price point.
Right.
Like, oh, I paid $5,000 for it. I'm not selling it for any less than, $3,000. Well, if everybody else is selling them for $1,200, you can complain all day and sit on snakes, sit on animals. So, it's a weird thing going on right now where we have an influx of people breeding them, an influx, more animals available,
right,
and economy. So it's prices are going to dip. So where are you going to, are you going to make up for that, or are you going to be steadfast? Now, if it's a project you can sit on it. Sit on them. Wait for it. But if it's purely something that you've made to sell it.
Yeah, get rid of it. No matter what it is.
It gets something back, right? And you're not feeding it.
Yeah, you're basically not paying to feed it. Well, if you buy your rats, you're not paying to feed that. If you're making your rats, you're not using up stock.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'd rather, be able to sell 100 snakes while changing prices or accommodating the market than, sitting here not selling anything, complaining the whole time. Well, because if I'm doing that, it would make sense that I'm being stubborn. I'm not able to read the market.
Right.
So,
I mean, morph market prices are way higher than what you see going around these shows.
Oh yeah, and that's usually the case, because So the way I look at it for like sales is, if I post it on social media first or whatever, or, there's an interaction here on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and we can work out a price. Maybe I didn't even list it or say it was available. But, I made some, sales that way, mostly with isopods and dubia and things like that. Okay, so now it is these animals that I'm intending on selling have left that aspect, right? Nobody is interested in my immediate, like, people I interact with type of market. Okay, so I throw it up on Morph Market. The price may be a little bit higher, or, based on what I see comparable animals listed. And some of them just have sat up there. So either that tells me what I'm putting forward is not the best, right? Either I'm taking bad pictures, or, the genetics aren't necessarily popular right now. What's good, Don? So with that, so if it sits up there, then okay, I'm gonna take it to the show. So that's what I did. Well, I don't want to say that about any animal that I produce and, take care of.
Well, I mean, you got ones you want to keep, and you got ones you don't.
Right. So,
I mean, it's just there's a line there, and to grow, you got to get rid of everything below the line, and I mean, that's how you have to look at it. I mean,
right. These are all things I have in my, my breeding plans, and these are sort of ones that they offer some value, like the leopard pastel females, they do. The possible hats, they might. So I mean, I don't have an issue, but I also want to move them because I have other things coming. Better models. So I want them to go to a good home, and that's what it is at the end of the day. So if I have to swallow, my pride or whatever, and be like, I have it listed for $125, and maybe it's only worth $70 to somebody.
Right.
But that's $70 that I'm getting back. And then, we make the transaction. I'm no longer feeding it. I open up rack space for, future projects, things like that. So I think a lot of us
space too.
I think
rack
a lot of
space
us
is a big thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of us get stuck on this price point, right?
You hit the nail on the coffin there. I mean, I think I don't mean to interrupt you or anything, but I think what happened is these prices were so high, and this is what people paid for these snakes. And now that they, paid this higher price for those snakes, and they had babies, they're not willing to accept a lower price for what they made because they know what they paid for the parents. And what you paid for their parents is over market today.
Right, it could very well be true, but at the same time, you have to realize that the market's going to adjust, right? So you may have overpaid, but so say you overpaid a couple $100, but you got into Stranger, right? That was expensive. Now it's not, but because everybody's producing them.
Well, it's still, I mean, it's still a higher end gene. I mean, you can't pick one up for $100.
Right. But you can definitely get a Stranger clown right now.
Way cheaper than it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it was a lot. So, but if you were the ones producing that and you saw that higher price point that they were going for when you bought it, and now you're producing it on your own, well, there's more inventory.
Mm-hmm. What makes something worth the price to you to buy? Like, what made Stranger worth that much to you when it first came out, or any gene when it first came out? Redhead's still a little expensive.
I mean, at this point, we're talking, for me, if money's not an issue, right?
Right. I'm just saying, what makes you want to buy into a certain gene?
Upside, right? Not only monetarily speaking, but what, does it work with what I have, right?
Right.
Does it improve upon what I have here? Is it, enough that I can just add that and immediately, game changing, right? Well, one of the issues is, we get this, and it happens all the time. You get, you win the lottery, you buy a bunch of stuff. Now you don't have any money, or less money, or instead of just investing it and not touching it and letting it grow exponentially. So I think and I think I touched on Thursday, but for me to get into a codom or recessive that's not widely available, I don't want it to become widely available.
Exactly. So you don't really want to put all your hits. Say you get a male, you raise it your first season, and you put it to 4 different females, and they all go. Now you have like 7, 8, maybe 10 of these, things. What are you going to do? Put them all out there at once?
No.
I'd put them out there one at a time, make it seem rare, because rare is what makes things worth more, in my opinion. In this, the rarer the gene, the harder it is to get a hold of. People will pay more money for it.
Right. So one of the things is availability, right? So if there's more and more stuff available, you're all competing. The prices are going to go down. That's why like things like Bentleys and Rolls Royces and your higher upper echelon, rich people stuff still holds their pricing. And probably doesn't have to advertise. I mean, I've never seen a Rolls Royce advertisement ever. I just know rich people have them. So, for me, if I were to, say I spend the money on a new gene that is powerful, right?
Right.
Okay, I make some cool stuff and I sell it. And I sell a female. Anything to get that gene, that moves that gene out of my collection. And if it goes to somebody like Canova, it goes to somebody that has more stuff than I do, I've lost. Right? I've lost my edge.
Right.
So it's really hard for me to like jump in on some of this stuff on the ground floor. Because I can
I'll give you a perfect example at why I won't do it. I know someone who got into zebra. I don't talk people's names on here, just don't. Like, bought in heavy to zebra and, basically spent a lot of money. And now that it's coming out that I haven't heard 100% that it's Mackenzie, so I'm not going to say Mackenzie, but, they're saying it's Mackenzie. And if that proves out to be genetically 100% right, then, Mackenzie's not really, I'd say, a cheap gene. I mean, you might be able to get one for $200-300, or at least worth a little something, but it's not what zebra was selling for. And that sucks.
So I think a lot of this, with the pricing, one, obviously, if it's rare, if you're the only one that has it and it is something, I get that pricing is that high. But some of this stuff, it just gets a little ridiculous when it's
what if high OD genetically tests out the same thing as regular OD, but it's just like, yeah, but Ozzy, when Ozzy first did this and found this gene out, he said he sent out super orange dreams because he thought they were supers, and it ended up just being a single copy.
The better line, yeah.
So I
think a lot
they
more
end up being the same thing. Then that's kind of like almost impossible.
Yeah, but he called it high OD, so he sort of acknowledged that it was probably similar, sort of thing.
I think it'll be like the same thing with gravel and asphalt. Like they said, it's in the same marker, but it's at a different level. Like, the gravel humps down here and the asphalt humps up here.
And that's the one thing why I sort of like the genetic testing is going to eliminate the stuff that we call a bunch of different names.
All right.
So say if I buy a snake from a clutch from Africa and Justin Kabilka buys the same, almost identical animal from that same clutch, right? It's a new gene. Who's going to do better?
Oh, well.
But they're the same. So now you have Canova puts out whatever the hell he names it, and I put out whatever the hell I name it. My price point's probably
you're probably not even going to be able to push it at first for any kind of money. You're going to have to go to Chris from BNS and maybe Jeremy from Warfuls and Danny and Kai. Go to them 4 guys or someone whoever's around you or whatever and be like, hey, I got this gene. I really want to push it. Like, I think it's something that could be cool. You know, we need to market it and kind of corner this market to get this gene out so we all can make money.
Right. But Nathan's kind of doing that with Bang. But
all right. Well, what if Bang ends up being a gene? You know what I mean? Like until we genetically test it.
And it was a good video the other day. But we have.
I think it's something else. It's pretty cool, but
we have a thing where if a renowned, popular, top of the line breeder puts out something that's new with a new name, that seems to be the pinnacle of the price point, the pinnacle of the gene itself.
Yeah,
when
right.
Somebody else could have a similar animal, and maybe it's not the same, visual quality or whatever, and it doesn't have that powerful breeder behind it. It's just somebody else. Now you have two different levels when it could be, the same thing genetically speaking, and I don't like that.
That's kind of what they're saying happened with Acid, Static, and Confusion.
And
three different people bought it, yep. And three different people named it three different things.
And Hurricane, Trick, and Blitz.
You still got people saying Hurricane's different, but
it
hasn't been proven out genetically yet, so you really can't say that it is 100%.
If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. That's where
I guess.
Just because so-and-so says, oh, no, it's completely different. If it does the same thing, interacts the same way, it's the same thing.
Polymorphism sucks.
If
that's what there's polymorphism out there.
Yeah, that too. Now, since you're older than me, I know you are old enough to remember this. I think it was the Pepsi challenge, right?
Yeah. All right.
You'd be at an amusement park, wherever. They gave you a cup of Pepsi and a cup of Coke, and you had to choose which one was the Pepsi.
I think I could do it now.
I think I could. It's Pepsi's sweeter.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Or you put like a really high-end bougie wine next to, Barefoot or Yellowtail or something like that, and people can't tell the damn difference. Where it's the same thing. So
I'm not a wine person. I can't see how people could drink wine like that. I don't like it.
But I do think there's a lot of that goes on where it's a label on something and then a name, and then that sort of drives up the price.
Right.
And if you've ever tried to sell something you've previously purchased that's not animal related, usually the price that the buyer wants is lower than what you're willing to offer, right? So if I bought a guitar for $500 and I'm selling it now, I'm not getting $500.
Right. Now, this guy that I buy some snakes from, he's who I got my Orange Ghost line from. Canyon Country Reptiles, or Canyon Country Reptiles, rather. He's from Wellsboro, Pennsylvania. It's not far. But this dude has like 3 or 4 dinker genes that he's working. And like, they're cheap as hell. Like, nobody out there has these genes, and he says there's a super. He says it, he's proved it out. But he's old school. He don't really have much recessive. I mean, he might have some hypo and getting into pied and albino, but, he don't have the newer stuff. He's just now getting into clown. This is how old school that guy is.
Clown's been around a while. But
yeah, he's been around a while. And he just has some weird looking stuff.
Yeah, but how much of that is new, replicable, and how much of it is just polymorphism, right? You've seen how widely variable normal ball pythons can be, right? So we don't think that pastel can be equally variable, or fire, or whatever.
Right.
So maybe that variable fire is vanilla, but we also see that when you pair them as supers in that complex, fire to fire is a black-eyed Lucy. Vanilla to fire is not a white snake, or as white. So, there are certain ones that do different things. Let's face it. The person that probably paired that fire-looking thing to the fire that found vanilla was like, oh, what the hell?
All right.
But for me, something new has to do something like that, right? It has to be visually different. Like, when Champagne came out, like that thing, I don't know if we're ever going to unlock that gene's true potential.
I tell you, like, it either works or don't.
Yeah. But it deviates in its single form. It deviates so much from what you would think a ball python looks like, right?
Right.
You know,
I don't got no champagne yet, but
a line down the back, completely different color pattern. So, you add like Enchi and Leopard and sort of busts that out. So yeah, something like that's what catches my eye, where it's different. Now, if it's stubbornly different, where I can put a lot of other things in there and it still looks like that original champagne, well, then it's not really worth it to me, right?
Right.
You could have it's a champagne clown python or champagne clown hypo, and it still looks like a champagne. Well, that's where it loses. So
that wouldn't look like a champagne, I don't think.
Well, I'm just using that as an example. I know in reality they don't. What's good, Rob? Yeah,
maybe that's what I'll do. You start getting champagne into hypo clowns, and I'll get a head off of you. I'll get a double head off of you.
I mean,
I'll put it in a hypo clown.
Up a female champagne. I don't know why. I can always make more of them. And I have a female champagne pastel girl growing up that's still in the round. Right. Hopefully she goes. But yeah, I want to see what it does, but I also don't want to muddy my whole collection with champagne when it doesn't work.
Right.
Like, oh, here's a champagne ultra milk clown, and it looks like absolute ass.
Garbage.
So it's like I want to see what it does. I want to see what things look like, but I also want to establish some other projects so I can kind of tinker down the line.
Nobody's really did it in double recessive, so
yeah.
I mean, there's some champagne clowns out there that I'm like, oh my god.
So one of the issues is that it's part of the spider complex, and you run that risk of anything spider complex, and you can't have supers and anything like that. So that's why I'm still reluctant. None of mine have a wobble really that I produced. So they look nice, they eat, but it's that issue that still I think scares people. From
but look how Spider blew up.
Yeah, now everybody hates it because it's Spider.
Yeah, now people are going against it. But I mean, hit something totally amazing with a champagne and watch how like quick that stereotype goes away.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, if it for whatever reason, Spider seems to be the hated on one for the wobble. When there's 5 or 6 other ones that are in that complex that also have that
spot nose, chocolate, blackhead. Didn't they put sable in it recently?
Yeah, but they're not as
bad.
So if you can have a super of it, it's an improvement on the OG spider complex, because those ones they don't produce or die right away.
That was Wuma and Hidden Gene Wuma and Champagne, right? That's the original ones.
Yeah, there might be another one in there, but yeah, for whatever, like somehow spot nose is linked only because you can't have like a super spot nose spider, right? So that linked everything that's allelic with or deemed to be allelic with spot nose. So your chocolate black.
Some power balls I've heard could have issues,
but it's more prevalent in that complex, I would say. But there are other snakes that can exhibit certain issues that are similar, right? So, any snake can have a neurological issue. Any snake can have a genetic defect, right? Some morphs are more prone to that. Some aren't. So, like if you breed dogs or anything, there's a chance that it could have an issue. So I don't know why.
I think that comes from just like generations breeding, like not adding newer stuff to your collection.
Could be. And these things.
My opinion. There's no factual basis to that. That's just my opinion.
Right. And there really hasn't been much science done on spider. I believe it's like a neurological issue. It's an inner ear defect or something. Was the one paper I read. But it has levels within it. So, you could produce one that is, it has a severe malformation, and that's where it presents what we call the wobble, the stargazing, all that stuff, and its quality of life is impacted. but you also have ones that aren't as bad and they thrive.
Right.
You could, we breed dogs with smushed in faces. They can't breathe, can't eat right, they can't even reproduce. But those are cute and they're fine to continue doing that. So if you're gonna hate on Spider, hate on Frenchies. Sorry for all you Frenchie people and you bulldog people, but if your dog snores worse than me, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So here's something that I never fully understood that you might understand better than my understanding of it. What was the whole thing about Blade being linked with Clown?
So my understanding, and the same thing goes with leopard and pied, right?
All right.
So certain leopard animals came over for pied, carrying.
Okay.
Leopard has like a stripier one, right? So I guess the stripier leopard, and I have one here that shows that, but she just ate. They tend to have brought over a pied gene, so you might not know you have it, right? And then you pair leopard something to, a pied and pop out pieds. Excuse me. But the Blade and Clown, it looks like a really reduced clown.
Right.
So if you got sold a clown and somebody didn't know Blade was in there, that's sort of how it happened, right? People not able to identify Blade and Clown and selling them, and then Blade pops out later. It's like, oh well.
So every clown that's on Morph Market listed as a clown that's reduced is probably a Blade clown?
No.
That's okay, Kevin.
But it could be. It's one of those things where it's subtle because of polymorphism. Like I have one. It looks like what I've seen Blade clowns look like, but I haven't. It wasn't confirmed to be in the pairing or anything like that.
All right.
And I haven't produced anything from him that is Blade. But if I do, then it's, Blade. Like if you have a blue-eyed Lucy and you pop out something else, that's sort of how that stuff happens. Like, well, it's a white snake. I didn't see it was in there. It was in the pairing. I didn't know. All my bells this year are going to be, have at least pastel in them. So that's I know that because I'm pairing a super. So in the worst case is going to be pastel butters and pastaves. So I mean that's known, but there could also be leopard. So if you get a bell, I know you're going to get butter because it has to be there because it's on both sides. Maybe Mojave, depending on what the thing looks like, and pastel. But you could get leopard. So
Charlie did test that Ultramel that I have, and she is Ultramel, but like she has red eyes, and then she has like blue in those red eyes. They look blue if you look at them from one direction, and red if you look at them from another direction. And she's bamboo black pastel Ultramel. And she's just a weird snake, dude.
Yeah,
like, next show, I want to bring her along with me just to show people.
I mean, it could just be a combination of everything producing that. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know, right? From a genetic
There's something going on with her. I mean, I think
we're taking things that we call morphs, genes, whatever, and pairing them all together and then calling them something else. I do think that I understand that it's the most popular reptile to breed, right? But I look at other snakes, right? And there is probably 20 times as many genes, morphs, what have you, of ball pythons than there are the next most popular animal. So how much of it is, we are just calling polymorphism something, or we have the same name for the same thing? I think genetic testing and things like that will narrow the amount of different things, and then it gets to the point where we can't even ID the stuff we produce. Right? Like, I produce this awesome
That's
animal.
Not as easy as it looks.
All right, I produced a 5-gene animal. I grew it up to breed. Oh wait, that was in there.
It's not as easy as Austin makes it look on mutation creation, because that kid could just be like, do it. and I call him a kid because I'm in my 40s. I mean, what is he, 22, 23? I mean, maybe 25,
I think
26.
he's in your 20s. But
That dude's a whiz. I can't believe like he could just be like, "Da-da-da-da-da-da." No,
but
wait, da-da-da-da-da. This is
but
it. Yep.
it does get to a point where it's like even the best of it's like, oh, well, I see these three. These other two were in the pairing, but I can't rule them out. So I think genetic testing might help for that.
You know what helps them guys too? They know that there's nothing else in there. I mean, to the most part. I mean,
Right,
now if
right.
something crazy comes out like Monsoon, of course they didn't know that was in their stuff. But like the codoms, there is no surprise codoms coming up.
Right, but there might be a surprise one in the animal that was produced, not from. They know it's
Right.
in the pairing, but it just might not, show up the way it does. I think
Right.
that might have happened in Pompeii. I'm not sure, but yeah, we're focused on right now putting all these codoms together, right? Oh, this is a 6-gene codom clown.
I'm still
where it gets
trying to
really
hit.
hard to like see everything in there.
Right. I just want to hit allelic combo recessive animals.
Right, because right? If I put a super gravel to a super enchi clown, I'm gonna get gravel enchi but
Gravel enchi clown.
I'm gonna get
everyone.
Yeah, I'm gonna get gravel enchi clouds.
Everyone.
It takes out the surprise, but you're also not going, well, is it yellow belly or gravel? And you're not.
Well, when I work with that complex, I'm not pairing that complex unless I have a super in it or it's the same gene. Like I'll take gravel to gravel, I'll take asphalt to asphalt, and I'll take yellow belly to yellow belly. But I ain't taking yellow belly to anything unless it's super gravel or super asphalt. I ain't taking gravel to anything unless it's super asphalt or super yellow belly.
Right, and one of the issues you run into is as you add more genes into that, right? So it may be easy to identify single gene yellow belly, single gene gravel, single gene whatever, what have you, right? Standing alone, but you throw other codoms and recessive in the mix,
not so easy.
Muddy the waters. Now it's like, oh well, those subtle differences that were there before are no longer as.
But that complex is so nice. There. Like if you look at, say, I don't know, just like a spot nose, black head, black pastel clown. Throw yellow belly in that, and it's going to be way brighter, nicer. More. It's just going to look better.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to make something that's so like reduced, so whatever, where I can't tell what the hell's in there.
Right.
It'd be a great snake, but and if I'm selling it at a show, okay, that's fine. Here's what I think's in here. But if I'm selling it to a breeder, I want to know.
Exactly.
Or if I'm going to keep it to breed, I want to know what's in here. Because if I got, let's say like a butter or a fire or something like that that's snuck in there that I don't see, and I go pair it to something in that complex, and oh great, now I got all these bells that are, awesome, but perhaps, it sort of takes away from that. Same with like pieds that produce just like the head stamp and no pattern, all white snake.
Yeah, like I don't like that either.
So yeah, it could be genetically powerful, but you have to
I'm still going to hit a panda pied. I'm still going for panda pieds. That's something I want to do. Why not?
Yeah, my little rant, Keith.
We all got to rant every once in a while. Get off a chest.
Well, I mean, I think there's entirely too much of the same stuff, right? We're all chasing the same one-armed man here. That's why there's so many clowns right now. Snakes, not people.
Right.
So
there are a lot of clown, and I'm clown heavy, but I
have 2 visuals or 3 visuals. Sorry, but I'm working those into other
one
projects.
2 adults, 1, 2, 3, 4.
But
2 adults and 5 hatchlings right now.
So
2 of those hatchlings are going out though, so I only have 2 adults and 3 hatchlings.
Yeah, Rob. There's a reason why it's the most popular one. It's
but it
does
like,
something. It's pattern and color.
It's awesome.
Right, but so for me now, I'm working heavily. Like if I do stuff, it's going to be multi-codon clown, like acid. there's a logic behind why I have clown and where I'm working, but I'm also working into the Ultramel clown, clown
Echo,
python,
Ultramel, yeah,
other
all the-
projects that clown just happens to be there because I have it. I have other, recessives and codoms that all work together. But clown is sort of powerful because it's different in pattern and color. Where you have hypo, it's just for the most part color, albino color.
Like
So
I'm going to be working a clutch of lavender clowns, and everyone says that there's nowhere to go with it, but I'm like, it hasn't been anywhere. Like they've made like a leopard lab clown or a spot nose lab clown, or maybe there's a Batman lab clown out of there. But like no one like put black. I haven't seen a black pastel one. I mean, like no one put cool shit into it. I mean, I think there might be a blackhead one out there.
But I think one of the issues is somebody produced it and they were popular. And I don't want to mention names, but I'm going to mention this one because you won't care. I'm pretty sure it was Billy. He said it wasn't for it. He didn't, other than that, he didn't talk down on it. But I think we have that issue is that people heard that and now, okay, we can't do lavender clown. Or, we hear somebody trash pastel.
I am.
Yeah, pastel and clown. Okay, just those two. Yeah, it's not that great, but add other stuff. And we sort of take certain things as gospel. And okay, now we can't do that. So it kills the market on some animals.
Well, I want to bring it back because I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me right now. Somebody make me, something of the level of a Batman, Dreamsicle, Pompeii, like that sort of combination where I go, okay, it's something that's powerful enough, that's new, that's a combo that people haven't done or really hasn't been worked heavy. That's, sort of what I want to try to do here is, I'm following the, sort of the path that, other people have done, but it's like, what can I add in here that's going to make me stand out, that's going to produce a nice looking combo with, stuff that we already know exists. Is it bongo? Is it, another gene that you add into something that's
right.
Okay, we had leprechauns. You had spot nose, you get a Batman. Boom. Insanely popular. What's that similar thing? I don't want to make, oh, well, here's a Batman plus these two codoms. Or plus,
well, there's just got to be something
it's like
that makes the white and lavender, well, even the lavender and lavender is more purple. That there is lavender tones in that white, and there's got to be something that brings it out, that makes it purple.
Right, and yeah, I do like bringing out the purples, and I think like Ultramel can do that in certain combos.
Yeah, Ultramel can do it too.
For me, like bringing out new color or making colors that exist more vibrant, or highlighting them. Right. Imagine if you had that. I think rainbow kind of does it a little bit, but that like purpley patterning that you have on like bananas when they're younger.
Yeah.
If you could
like
invert
that grayish purple.
Right. So if you have the alien heads and all that stuff that have that color rather than like the dorsal, if you just invert the color palette on the snake, I think that would be awesome. So to make something that's going to flip
the colors.
Yeah. The main snake is all white, right? But the alien heads are dark black. Something that's going to change the overall look, right? I think that stuff is powerful. Bring out these colors, these patterns. I'm all for,
Yeah, I'm lightly working grails and holy grails. I only got a clutch of each, but my toes in the water on them.
But I mean, I look at sunset and monsoon, and people love or hate sunset. Same with monsoon, right? Price point might have something to do with that, or just not seeing something that is wowing them enough, or just listening to people on social media trash it. But I see potential in both of those things. I don't have money to do that.
Right.
But in the next 5 years, I'd say you're going to see a sunset combo that is going to wow you. You're going to see a monsoon combo that's going to wow you. And because those on their own when they did enough to change what you think of a normal ball python. So it's like, okay, now we have this pattern, this color change. How do we influence that now, right? What can we add to sort of make the oranges more orange? Highlight the contrast, things like that. So,
could you imagine if you figure out a way to make a green snake?
A green ball python? That'd be insane. I don't think I've ever seen anything close. The only thing I've seen is like a yellow that's sort of speckly. It's sort of to your eyes looks a little green just because it's playing a trick on you. So you have that yellow snake, but it's got some freckling throughout. It's sort of, but yeah, or even like more vibrant reds or blues, or things that we see in other species. I think that would be cool. But really,
say if you make a green snake, what would you do with it? Would you market it and show it, like, and put not for sale and not tell people what it is, and try to go for some more next year?
I mean, if I had a Christmas colored snake, nobody would ever see it until I reproduced it.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, yeah, you might hit one, but then you're giving people a scent, to how to make that. And they smell it, they see it, they're going to go for it as well, and kind of take your thunder. I mean, but do you hide in the shadows until you make another one? I mean, that would be the smart move.
I mean, so for me, I
could
want
not
to be
do it.
Open and transparent, right? Like, here's what I do. Here's the animals I'm producing. But if it's something that I'm working, right, that is, a combination that comes out that is amazing. I want to make sure it's not a one-off thing, that it's not polymorphism. So if I do the pairing again and I produce the same genetic animal, okay, now I have this 5-gene combo that is fire. All right, now I'm gonna.
So you keep the whole clutch.
Yeah. So, well, no, not if it's known genetics, right?
Yeah.
If it's known genetics and somebody else can do it, I want to make sure I get my bread before I go, hey, check this out.
Right. Say if you combine this 6-gene snakes and it comes out looking like, it's just anything different. There's something totally different.
Right. Like I make a snake equivalent of a dreamsicle Batman or a Batman, something like that, right? It's something new. A combination
with no recessive.
That hasn't been seen before. I want to work that for a little bit, right? Because if everybody else that has those genes can put the combo together, I want to make sure I get myself far enough ahead where, one, I'm the one that's produced it. Two, somebody can't just wait a year and produce the same thing as me. So I've sold my stuff for these animals, right? Maybe the breeders that produce the combo or whatever. So I've gotten my money, I've gotten my reputation, I've gotten everything I can out of this. Now everybody else can sort of, come to the table. Whereas if I just put this combo together, hash out this awesome snake that is known genetics, and I post it right away, now everybody else can see, oh, wow, that combo looks great. And then they can sort of, if they have more of those animals than I do, they can beat me.
Right.
In that.
For instance, the Stormtrooper. I've been in this for, almost 2 years, and it's still not released what exactly is in it.
Right.
I mean, right off the bat, it's probably DG and a line of Xanthic, but I mean, maybe fire in there. I mean, we don't know for sure.
Right, and I sort of of the opinion is when we see these things, for the most part, when they're released from a bigger breeder or shown, there's far more in that collection, right?
Right. They're vamped up, ready to do 10 clutches next season.
Right. They already have it in various other projects, right? It's further along, and I think some of us, we get into this, thing of instant gratification, right? So, I produce this awesome animal, I want to share it, and I want to get my likes, get my attaboy, awesome snake, I get that feel good thing, but from a business aspect, it does not make sense to do that. I mean, you don't have Apple going, hey, here's what we're working on. By the way, here's all the schematics, and here's how I did it.
Right.
You don't see that in the business world. So it's sort of, I get keeping certain things not public, right?
Right.
There's your time, right? And same thing with like a new gene, but we want that instant sort of gratification, or instant
It's hard not to have something like that. And when you're, on the bottom trying to work your way up to the top and you hit something like that, it's hard for guys like us to not put that out because we want to, get to the top. And that's going to jump you up, like, say, from the bottom to somewhere in the middle, maybe closer to the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like I have a chance to hit, double visuals this year, and possibly triple visuals next year or the following year. I forget what year. It depends when the female's ready.
Right.
But do I take that? Okay, here's a DG / enhancer Krypton G stripe,
All right, give it here. Send it.
and it's a male.
Send it.
So I hit I'm keeping it. I have to look past that, whatever the monetary value that somebody will likely offer me for, an animal like that, depending, what else is in there. And it's like,
right.
No, I can't just look at that. Okay, here, I can buy a car.
That's just like that clown clutch this year that's got these weird looking clowns in them. I mean, they're awesome looking. And I gotta, keep the best examples of what I made, just to further my breeding things.
I mean, like,
Sorry, they just got in if I'm distracted.
Yeah, I mean, like, say if I have a visual puzzle and I don't know, let's just say I produce a puzzle Ultramel clown.
Right.
Somebody will buy that for money that I probably will be enticed by. Right.
Right. Yeah.
It's a lot of,
sure.
It might be a lot of money, but at the same time, keeping those animals and just growing them up, breeding them. Now I have more. Now I have it with codoms and other things, and then selling it. Probably going to make more money then.
Yeah.
So it's that initial.
There's definitely different ways to play your hand in this hobby. Definitely.
Would you rather have 50 grand a day or $1 million in 10 years? I'll wait 10 years for $1 million.
But see, if I get that 50 grand a day, I might be able to make it more. I might be able to make $1 million quicker.
Right, with the 50, but you're just taking the money. You're losing.
Right.
You could sit on that animal and make.
I know
it's like you would invest that 50 grand to make $1 million. So, I think
I'd buy a lot of cool shit.
I think some people they hit that awesome animal and it's like sold. Think, okay, you might be able to make it again, type of thing. But, yeah. So one of the topics we wanted to talk about earlier was diversifying, right? We were talking about everything.
Yeah, I just went from there.
Everything.
Sorry, my cat's tail is.
So yeah, I have some crested geckos. I have leopard geckos, Russian tortoises. I screwed up.
Yeah, you got a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, I screwed up the sex on one of my crested geckos, so I have to get a male. But now I have 2 females, so more potential.
That's never bad a thing.
So I have those, and the Russian tortoises I have to.
Tortoises are hard, though. I mean,
well, they got to brumate in the incubations a while, but so hopefully I can have some captive bred Russian tortoises. Now I don't really care, what the price point is. I know it's pretty decent for people looking for those labels. But yeah, just being able to have, leopard geckos, crested gecko, a variety of things that aren't ball pythons on my table, or to be able to produce and sell. I think that will be nice. And plus, it gives me experience with other animals, right?
Right.
You get so with ball python, I feel like we all get like this, right? Stuck in ball python. So I want to, diversify a bit. As far as snakes go, I have a blood python, and I think I'll get a female and work something T positive with that. Maybe a codom or 2 down the road just to have something different. That's a couple of years away, I think. And as far as some other lizards go, I don't know, it's a lot of babies, a lot of work. So geckos have smaller clutches, so they're more appealing, especially
Right.
especially your geckos from a temperate climate, right? So something that I don't need all the heating for, all the lighting. Desert species need heating, lighting, all that stuff, and they produce more animals. So that's why I seem to like the geckos. I don't think I'm going to expand in leopard geckos. Maybe in cresties, because they're somewhat popular. They're easy to care for the most part. Right? So, generally, if I were to sell a crested gecko at a show, somebody else probably has a vivarium, terrarium, all the pieces that you can go home and set that animal up if you bought it on an impulse. A ball python, a boa, something that's going to require much more husbandry.
Right.
I might not be as comfortable selling. Plus, leopard or crested geckos are pretty hardy, right? As far as the environmental, you can have them in your room temperature, right? Just make sure their humidity is on point. They have climbing space and the food. You got to feed them more often.
Really? Like they don't have to be too hot.
No, they live in a temperate rainforest type environment. It's humid and like 70 degrees, give or take. Whereas leopard geckos need some overall heat, but they're nocturnal, so they don't need the sun. So they're a little bit easier. But things that are nocturnal, you don't really get to see and hang out with during the daytime. So it might be a turnoff for some people. And I think ball pythons are, boas might be. I think a lot of these snake species are crepuscular, so they're like deer, where they're active in the dawn and the evening, not during the day or at night. So that's another concern for people. Like if you're buying something that you want to look at all day and show off to your friends, it's not going to be too great if it's sleeping all day.
Right.
Type of thing.
Cool.
But yeah. I mean, I think definitely having variety or like if I were to do the geckos or something, having that, also having the food, right? Maybe some set. So you can come to my table and go home with a little crested gecko, a little setup, and the food, right? Everything's there.
One-stop shop.
Yeah, that's what I do here. Everything's on a day-night cycle, regardless of if it needs that. It's awake during the day. It's kind of annoying that I have sunlight for leopard geckos that they don't really care about. But it provides that heat and the cool down, like their natural environment. I want to. If I'm selling something, I want to make sure that the person's going to be able to take care of that animal.
Right.
Right. Whether it's fire sheets, referring them to other people there that have, the food, things like that. But yeah, I'd like to have some isopods, dubias, things like that on my table eventually. Yeah. Also, like getting into something that's just different, right? But it has to look good, right? It has to be it has to be somewhat visually appealing, handleable.
You can't be that person that has way too much diversity that we've talked about. It has every snake, every frog, every lizard you could think of, and they have nets over them, and each individual one's in deli cups. Like, no, that's not good.
So those people are like, for me, they're the importers. They're the ones that they got everything shipped in a box.
They have a smell to it though, and it's not a good one.
Or they're buying stuff wholesale and then flipping it on their table. That's not what I'm getting at as far as diversity goes. I mean,
Well, I just wanted to make sure. I know what you mean, but I just wanted to.
So it's
throw that out there. We're not talking that much diversity. That's too much.
Right. So, when you go to a table and ask about these animals, you want to be able to get all the knowledge. Right. It's not just like, hey, would you take $20 for it? Sure. And that's the end of the transaction.
Yeah, here, take it.
They're going to take that $20, and you're going to probably have a dead animal.
And you're going to have a dead animal in a week.
because a lot of these tables, the bad kind, have that diversity. They don't know too much about the husbandry, or the community at large doesn't. And there's a reason, because these things don't thrive. Or what's it? Horned lizards. I think they eat fire ants. It's a cool looking animal. You might be able to get the husbandry right for the, enclosure, but to get the food, the diet right, you're gonna kill that animal. So I don't like seeing that stuff. So I
mean, that would even be hard just to get regular ants, because then you'd have ants everywhere.
So I want to see. I do want to see some diversification of other species being captively bred. That can be pets. Yes, because you got places that you can't have furry, nice, cuddly friends, right?
Right.
An apartment might let you have a gecko.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's in a cage.
Right. And especially if it's a lizard species that is somewhat more social and tolerable, right?
Like, I mean, bearded dragons, I feel, are becoming more sociable, tolerable socially.
Oh, they are so cool. They have their. I've had them. I've had plenty of them. They're they have I think some of them have a unique personality, right? They'll do some things that are sort of interesting and fun, right? They tolerate handling, right? I think more higher up mammals, things like that. Nothing's going to be like a dog, right? Or
right.
But I mean, you can get close where they're conditioned to certain things, right? They're going to be comfortable. Also, we are warm, so if they're crawling all over you, you're kind of warm. But
they just want to get warm.
Hey, now they're in a cage. It's okay.
Yeah, that might be something to get past the landlord-tenant, but you don't.
Hey, now I have had.
You don't want to mention.
I had rodent issues before I had the rodents.
I didn't bring the issue. I'm just trying to breed them.
Yeah, which I find is kind of funny. I have all these animals that I have no issues with infestation or anything. I just got like fruit flies, and everybody's got fruit flies.
Let one get out.
I got a dog. I mean, the dog's going to take care of it. But yeah, I haven't had an issue. But I do want to.
My dog and cat, they're not doing too good of a job this year.
You still got that one running around?
Dude, there's a rat running around my house. It is like this big. He won't get into the live trap. He took my dead trap. I set it like a rat trap. I set it, and it is now gone. I have no idea where it's at. So apparently it got his tail or something, because he's fine. He's running around, but my fucking trap is gone. Like, this dude, I'm so frustrated with it. Like, I'm about ready to load up one of the 22s and have it on me. Like, just come out here at night and just like, it's white. So, you know what I mean? It stands out. But I mean, it won't even as soon as you see it, it sees you looking at it, it's gone. Like, it don't mess around. Yeah, he's slow because he's big now, but he ain't that slow.
I
seen it last night running through my closet, as a matter of fact, and I threw something at it and I missed, but then it was gone. It didn't come back out until like I was half asleep, and I see it streaking across the floor, going back out towards the kitchen.
I've not had an issue, but I also have torn apart the whole place to get one.
Like, if I catch this thing alive, like, I'm going to keep it, because if it lasted this long and like, and it's a female, you know what I mean? I might just get a male and breed it, because it don't got balls, so it's a female. I mean, I don't know. That thing. I'm surprised it ain't sticking its head out some corner, looking at me laughing right now.
Ooh, I just got offered a big bag of aspen bedding.
It works.
Maybe somebody's getting out. But
there's a lot of people getting out, and I hate to say it, but it's good for the market for people to get out. The people who are doing this for money, I don't think are going to be around. The people who just like doing this, are going to be here.
Yeah, I mean, but it gets to the point sometimes where physically you just can't.
Right, and
that
there's some different
there's
occasions.
A non-monetary reason to get out. I mean, if you got shoulder issues, back issues, and you can't move like you used to, it's hard to do that type of thing. But
there's other reasons that can be, but I mean, now that the money's gone, they're going to start dropping like flies.
Yeah, and it's a buyer's market. So if somebody's getting rid of something that I want, I'll jump on it. Not that I need more animals, and I said I was done for this year, but this year only has a couple more days in it, so I might be accurate.
Yeah, well, I'm about ready to get that 22 loaded up, and it's a semi-automatic, so there might be a couple bullets flying at it.
I still can't believe you've thrown everything at this rat and you can't get him.
I'm telling you, my rat trap, because I was like, heck with it. I'm just going to set the rat trap and it's dead. Then I ain't got to worry about it doing anything, to catch this place on fire or anything like that. I ain't got to worry about it ruining anything. And then it's gone. He took it. I lifted the couch up and everything and looked for it. I can't find it. It's gone. It's just gone.
Yeah. Back to before Rob got us, a little distracted about the rodents in the closet. Yeah. I mean, I think if you can sink your teeth into some other species and propagate them, breed them, you're probably going to do better, or a little bit better, right?
Right. I think you'll attract more attention. I mean, you'll be definitely busy at the show talking to people because, there was a line for that one Euromastic that guy had, and I was like, man, if somebody had table for them here, they would have did good.
Yeah, and they look awesome, depending where the locales are from, the colors and whatnot. But just they need a stupid amount of heat, right?
Yeah, they need it up to 120 degrees, so that means you can just let it go. You know what I mean? Get one of them heat emitters and let it go because they only get up to 130. Set it back away from the top of it a little bit.
Yeah, you just want to make sure that they can't burn themselves. Because they're going to be trying to get that heat.
Yeah, you got to set it back away from the top as high as they can get, and then you set your heat gun.
Because my buddy had them for a while, and every single one of them would get a burn on their back because it would just continuously bask, and eventually.
I don't understand why they don't catch on because them things are just cool looking. I mean, I love that thing.
Probably because bearded dragons. There's lizards that are almost same level of light and heat. I don't know. Maybe it's their derpy face and their weird tails. I don't know. I think they're cool.
What are the ones that
cool?
That open their fins onto the side or whatever? They have that curtain.
Grill dragons.
Them things that would be cool to have too. But I heard those are kind of mean. You can't settle them down.
Well, and that's one of the things. You can get a visually stunning animal that you can care for, you can maintain, but they're not. You can't touch them, right?
Can't touch them.
And I think if we're talking now for somebody that keeps multiple animals, yeah, you're probably going to be okay with that. You're experienced enough to be able to handle the animal without causing it harm, to get it out of the enclosure, clean it, and do all that stuff, and then put it back in. But if you have one of those in your bedroom, and you want to show it off to your buddies, and it's going to light you up. That's not
light you up.
Right, Tokays are pretty cool, but their bites are nasty, things like that. So it's what can we?
Did they really make that noise? That noise, almost like a dog
breeding thing? Yeah, they croak. Yeah, it's interesting.
That would be annoying. That motherfucker was doing that while I was trying to sleep. It might catch a lighter upside its head.
But yeah, it's
anyway.
What can we diversify into that is able to go to that show market, right? to go as a pet, that it's going to be a rewarding pet for the person. The animal's not going to have, any issues. It's going to be tolerate handling. It's not going to get too big.
Let's talk to Charlie, genetically enhanced lizards, because he's all into that genetic bullshit, and get him to get us to start growing lizards that grow fur, because then, they don't even need light.
But yeah, I've just been trying to think.
I'm funny.
What else can, would it be easy to get into, right?
Right.
The breed that's going to do well in captivity, things like that. Later on in life, definitely, I would like to get into some of these harder species and try to help establish
the colubrids.
A captive bred population of certain things that aren't readily available,
right,
just for the conservation.
I like the pine snakes at Chris got. I really like them.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. But if you're dealing with certain, say it's a small pocket of the world, right? We have them. We're not we're still able to import them, but they're not past F1 here. But there's some other qualities, not just breeding the animal for profit, but there's some health related things. Maybe they harbor a certain disease in the wild. Maybe they have something genetically speaking that is kind of cool, like regenerate limbs, or change something where in the name of science it would be cool to propagate that species.
I get it.
Well, there's a lot of things for venom research, right?
No, you could. I'll leave that to you. You could do the venomous stuff.
Well, I mean, but in a similar vein, right? To look at animals that do certain weird things in the wild to sort of further study them. Like, I guess ball pythons' heart rates, or some constrictors' heart rates, will slow down as they digest. And some other animals that do that sort of thing. Or just because they're kind of hard to breed and I like a challenge.
Right.
But yeah, just having that. If you got a cool gecko.
If you like something that's hard to breed and you like a challenge, get into green tree pythons.
Nah, I'm good. I'll get one to look at. I don't like
too much doing that.
I don't like the idea of, okay, I have a couple snakes. Maybe this year they'll go. Maybe not. There's just too many variables with them. They are beautiful animals. The color vary, stunning. But it's just the ease of breeding ball pythons comparatively is sort of nice, or the ease of breeding some other species is nice.
There was a green tree boa male down at the Gettysburg show for $100, but you wasn't touching the thing without getting bit.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty big too. It was like 5 feet long. That thing would have lit you up. I bet you its fangs were every bit of 2 inches.
Yeah, and that's that's not fun, right?
I'm not signing up for that. I'll stick with my balls. I've always liked my balls. They've always been a good pair.
That's funny. But yeah, it's finding that one thing that you can do that nobody else has, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's a type of python, type of boa, type of gecko, where it's like, oh, you're the only one at the show that has these, and you have the knowledge, husbandry, you're able to tell that person how to care for that animal, and set them up. I think that's cool, and I think we lack that. But at the end of the day, even at shows, I know we want to sell animals, but we still have to do our due diligence when it comes to certain animals.
So I think I got someone hooked. You go ahead, finish your story. I didn't want to interrupt you. I thought you was done.
The conversation that we had earlier, when it was like, you come up to the vendor and go, would you take $20 for that? And that's the end of the transaction.
Right.
Battle both sides of that transaction.
Exactly.
So if I have something for 25, somebody says, would you take 20? And I just say, take the 20. Here's the animal. That's the end of it. I want to glean some more information. What's your setup like? That sort of stuff. Just so I know that animal's sort of going to a homework and have
Right.
some level of success rather than, did I just doom that animal for $20? Now, that may be the case if I wholesale it at the show, but that's sort of a known risk. But I'd rather wholesale to like pet stores that are.
It's part of it. It's part of it. I mean, we're all going to have our misses that we can't get rid of that we're going to need to do that too. I mean,
I see on social media is my, insert animal. Okay. And just looking at the animals, like, what did you do to that?
But you never know. It could go to some little kid that you never met, that's going to love that thing.
And he's going to get it. That's a spark that gets him into this industry, this hobby.
You're right. The buyer can.
True.
But, the guy I sold that pie to.
Popular.
The guy I sold that pie to, that pastel pie I hit this year, his girlfriend, when I dropped that thing off to him, was like, "Get that thing away from me!" Like, and we sat there and talked for an hour in the parking lot where we met. 2 weeks later, when he came back from work because he works out of town, she had a banana mail sitting there.
Yeah.
So I think I got someone else hooked into it.
I've always had an interest in it since I was a kid. At the end of the day, I don't care if I don't make money, right? Now, obviously, I might not be pairing animals, but these aren't just a tool for profit for me. I care for all of them, and I don't want to see them go to a bad place. Like I would feel so terrible, and I don't understand how. I see it on Facebook and Reddit in these groups. I see bearded dragons, leopard cat, like they got MBD. They're emaciated. I'm like, how can you do that? I don't think I've ever had an issue like that with any lizard I've ever owned. I haven't even had mites, knock on wood. So
I'm not going with that too.
That unfortunately can get brought in. But that's why you have quarantine, things like that.
It happens. Everyone talks like about it like it's a bad thing, but you can go to Petco and bring back mites. It's that simple.
Right. Yeah. Any. That's why I'm really picky about where I get stuff from. And at a show, after a show, the snakes get it. Yeah, everything gets cleaned. I get cleaned.
Yeah. Right.
Nothing good. Nothing went back into the racks until everything was clean. Because I don't want to jeopardize, the work I put in, jeopardize the health of all these animals. Because I got greedy and went for a steal on one of these, Craigslist animal or something like that had the genetics or whatever. But yeah, it just baffles me how you can buy. You go to Petco and buy a bearded dragon, you put it in an aquarium with no lights, barely feed it. That just irks me so bad. Like, how did you let it get to this point?
Right. Or they get. I've seen one like I went to my daughter to get one that they picked off of someone I knew, and their son would not be a person for any pet because he's like rough. You know what I mean? Like that poor bearded dragon, he had calcium bumps on him. Like he had another horn on his shoulder was a calcium bump, and I was like, oh my god, like this thing needs to be euthanized. Like, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I understand.
My daughter kept it for like 2 months, but it died.
Yeah, I understand animals get sick. Animals, there's other underlying things that may, I have one of my leopard geckos looks like it's on the way out. It's not eating. It's unfortunate, but it's not like I intentionally. It's not intentionally malnourished or whatever. They get fed. It's just not. There's something wrong. So he's going to go and if he doesn't bounce back, he might. He'll go into isolation.
I thought I was going to have to quarantine one of my snakes. I was feeding them this like yesterday, and I opened the tub, and it was like 20 minutes later. I thought this snake should have had it down, but I don't think it quite had the rat down. It raised up at me, and its bottom jaw was all jacked up, and I'm sitting there like, what? And it kind of looked swolled, but you know what I mean? I'm like, what is your face all swolled up for? Oh my God. So I just shut the thing and I said, I'm going to soak her tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? It was clean. And it woke up this morning, opened her cage, and she was fine. Her jaw just popped back into place. Like,
yeah. So sometimes I think because the way their jaws work, I think sometimes they kind of get stuck or they hit like substrate in the process. You know, it was too big for it to, get swallowed or anything, but it was enough to like.
I'm anal about that substrate. I try to watch. There was one yesterday, and she's a finicky eater. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, good. She took, that rat. But when she was swallowing it, there was a piece of substrate stuck between that rat's foot and tail. And I sat there with my tweezers, and I reached there and pulled it out. And she looked like she was going to regurge the thing. But thank God this morning there was no regurg or anything. Like, it was dead. It was gone. It was in her belly still. But I would have rather took that chance to pull that piece of substrate out than get caught in her cloaca and, do something kill her.
So for the most part, they'll pass it. If it's a little like splinter.
It wasn't that big. It wasn't like a chunk. It was a smaller piece, but still, I try to get it all.
So if you're feeding frozen thawed, make sure that your rodents are dry. Rodents will pick up substrate. And just watch, right? If you're feeding live, just watch. Because rodents have teeth, so just make sure everything is working. I get it when you have a larger collection, you might not be able to do that, but check, make sure everything, because then you're not surprised a couple weeks later when it's like, oh, this thing has a prolapse. Right. Well, yeah, because they had to push out a piece of cocoa.
Dude, that Lesser Enchi girl I got, she's Lesser Enchi Orange Ghost, that clown het genetic trait. Man, she hit that rat so hard yesterday. I mean, it made me and my daughter jump. I mean, I wow. I mean, it loved that thing. Like,
yeah, I mean, I've had some that have thrown themselves out of their enclosures.
That girl's mean. She's just mean. You can't touch her. I don't know what them people did to that snake before me, but it was created by Nice Balls, and then I got it off of Insanely Awesome Geckos. They're both, I guess, local around here at shows.
So one of the things and this sort of get, they're not less likely to get substrate stuck to the rodent or whatever. If you're feeding and you have them come out of the top, and they're hanging over, and you have to put them back in.
She did that a couple times on me.
It really helps. But yeah,
I had to move her down lower so I could throw the rat in and close it quick, because as soon as she sees anything move, that girl wants it. Like, it don't matter if it's your hand, if it's your head, if it's she'd probably go after a full-size adult rat. She don't care. She's just mean.
Yeah. And for those of you that give me crap as a ball python owner for having snake hooks and a tub puller, those are the reasons why. I have some that will come flying out at me, and I want to be as far away from them as possible.
Get down.
Because depending on the level of where the snake is in the rack.
You got to put her down lower because she wants it. My cat's trying to jump down again. Go the other way.
But yeah, for the most part with the clear tub, I can see the animal, but it's just that peace of mind that, if I'm here and physically standing very close to it, I'm going to get hit, by a snake that, thinks I have a rodent or whatever. So it's just, I'm able to be a little bit further away, get that initial reaction, and then,
that girl don't care if you have a rodent or not. You open that tub and she's got her head like what? If she's in her hide, I could sit there and turn her hide to where, the hole's this way and clean her tub. That's how I have to clean her tub, because she's trying to bite you. She don't care. She just hates me. She hates the world.
So what I've noticed, and this is sort of why I've resorted to opening tubs with the tub puller and the snake hooks, is that I have a tendency, because maybe I'm just me, is I want to look at the snake, right? So I'm pulling the tub open and putting my face very, close to where I can. And there's been a couple of times it's been close because it's a larger snake, and they have
They
that
got some
strike range to
distance.
get me, and I'm like, I forget what one I opened the other day, but she got the hat, not my
Ooh.
face.
Oh.
But I was like, what in the like I didn't anticipate that because it might have been this pied head ultramel, and I
They surprise you
had
every
no
once in
idea
a
it was gonna
while.
come flying out at me. But
They'll let you know if they're ready to be messed with or not.
yeah, and I have some that'll I'll do that, for whatever reason, and then okay, I'm gonna get you out now. Okay, I'm fine. And
Yep,
then the
and the
second I put
next
them
day
back
they're
in,
fine.
they're back to being.
Mhm.
Now I don't, for the most part, any of these in this rack, except for the blood, just because that one won't stop. Um,
Yeah, that's like that Laceranchi one. She won't stop.
but it's most of the time I don't care. Like if it's a hatchling, I couldn't give two
No,
craps. They can light me up or a juvenile or
that's not
something.
even being bit.
But when they're bigger and it's more power behind it, it's like man. Especially around my face, I don't like that.
I would hate to take a bite to the face from that girl. I mean, as hard as she strikes, that would hurt a little. I bet you if she got her mouth right, she'd bust your eyeball.
I mean, chances are you're gonna blink. Trust me.
Well, I'm
Been
just
there.
saying,
I
like
think it's
that
on the internet.
bitch is fast and she hits hard.
But yeah,
Boom.
some of it's my own overconfidence and whatnot. But
I
it's
don't want to record her feeding because I just don't like doing feeding videos. But
so if I ever were to, I never like the live. Like I do feed live, but I never like those videos. But
me
there
neither.
is so sometimes the snake is not the best at doing its job of
Put 'em
eating,
up,
and
right?
that live rodent is struggling, but its mouth is able to make contact with the snake. So you can
Yep.
take your forceps or something and just kind of put it there so the rat can't bite the snake. So I'd rather just say that than show it because
Yeah,
obviously
exactly. I like
I don't like anything like that. And
that girl gets too aggressive sometimes, and she'll bite it by the butt because she don't wait for it to turn around, and she wraps it up wrong, and its head sitting there flowing. I've had to sit there and hold rats for like 5 minutes because when they grab them by the ass like that, it takes them longer to kill. And man, that sucks. Like I hate doing that.
I mean, if I could do, like, I do a combination of everything. It depends on the animal, for safety, things like that, or it's this thing only takes live for whatever reason.
I have a couple that I don't think I can get it to feed. Like they wait for me to shut the drawer to hit it. They'll look at me the whole time. You'll see them look at the rat and they'll look back at me and they wait for that door to shut. And as I'm like just barely shutting it, they're heading back towards the rat. That's how I kind of know they're going to eat.
Yeah, so I sort of I'll go from one side to the other. Sometimes I have to let the live one in there, but I'm right here. I don't have that many, so I'm able to check.
Yeah, I check them. Everyone.
But in some good news, for the third straight week, my acid pastel het clown possible het pied girl ate on her own. So
wasn't you have a problem with that?
Oh well, I was assist feeding it, and it got to the point where it's a little too big and it was a pain in the butt. And if I'm just doing it with pinkies and pups, it's not really nutritious. So I got a mouse day before Thanksgiving. She ate that on her own, and I was like, oh, okay, awesome. And then last week in ASF, this week or today in ASF, so it's 3 straight meals unassisted. Now I only have my
fingers crossed.
Yeah, now I only have my one hatchling with the weird eye that was a little small, maybe has a little shark mouth. She's still being assist fed, and for whatever reason, my ultramel pied male has decided he was eating voraciously at Kai's, and then came here, and per Kai, I broke him. He hasn't eaten since he's been here, so he has moved from tub to tub with hide. So we put it back in the normal rack with a hide,
right?
Because it's opaque, and you might not be able to see the males here. So hopefully we'll get him acclimated and he'll eat something next week. So I want to have a couple of meals in him before I start pairing him.
Right. Yeah, of course. Get
You
them
know,
get them
I want
good
to get him
juices
up to a
going.
healthy size where I can deal with it after he gets a couple, after he locks with my pied, hopefully, and whatever else I'm pairing him to, and then I can, monitor that.
So that lesser or not lesser, but special inchy lace het clown that I got from Phil, I put him in a regular sized tub this week with a hide, and he ate. So I mean,
Yeah,
I was worried. This is the first week he got out of the shoebox for me, anyways. I don't know what Phil kept him in, but he got its own drawer, and he went right out after it and ate. He likes his hide though. He likes to hide from you.
yeah. So I mean, so if I have a picky eater that's in this rack, they go in the hatchling rack.
Right.
Picky eater, and yeah, I can move. I know ones that they don't give a hoot where I put them. They're gonna eat. So if I have to, I'll move them. But I have some openings, and I'll move some stuff around. But that
Right on.
yeah, and I had a what's it? The genetic stripe, possible het cryptic, possible het DG. I got that from Charlie, Reg, and Renee. It was eating in the hatchling rack. I'm like, okay, great. You're a little too big. We're gonna move you. Hunger strike. It's like, oh, come on.
They do that. They feel comfortable in a smaller environment, and then you put them in something bigger, and they just don't. They don't feel secure. I get or something. They get this complex, like
Yeah, and for some of these, it's like I've had them long enough. If I've had it multiple seasons, I sort of know the pattern.
you know what else I've learned too with them. With the smaller ones, when you're putting them into the bigger environment, put the shed of another male in there, and it'll make. I think it makes them go, well, I better bulk up because this other male's going to be back, so they want to eat.
Yeah, I mean, I have tried some tips and tricks thing, throwing.
Right.
Then just
That's
about
one that I haven't
anything.
heard much, but it's worked for me.
So one of the I haven't had it happen with these males because they eat anything,
Right.
and this is the first year at year 3. He's been breeder size. My champagne pastel male is still on food.
Nice.
Now it's still early, but I've had pairing. So normally when there's pheromones or whatever, he's like, "Oh, it's breeding time," and he stops eating for me until the snake ovulates.
All right.
And then he'll go back on food. So he did that the past 2 years. This year he's not following that pattern, so it's a little different. But for the most part, everything else it eats. And I like knowing. Okay, so if I have a couple locks, you're bulking up, getting to the point pre-lay shed ovulation, and you go off food. Okay, we've done that before. I'm not concerned. But if you can, continuously eating, then oh well, I guess we missed.
Right.
But we'll see. I'm excited for,
I'm excited for a lot this year.
Provided that male starts eating. Otherwise, no, I'm not set back by any means. If he can't go for me this year, I miss having pied het ultramels.
Right.
But if I get him eating and he has to wait till next year, he's there. I have a female growing up that's, I can get the double visual from that.
Right.
And pied het ultramels and ultramel het pieds and
Heck yeah.
double het. Yeah. So it's 25% chance of each iteration. So I'm fine with that. I just wanted more pied stuff, honestly, because I don't have many. I have but 2 visual pieds.
Right.
No males. So, I just wanted, something different. So even if I, I don't necessarily need the male pied het ultramel, but I need the male pied.
Right.
That I can use, right? Because I can make het pieds and I have the visual girls and the ultramels. Yeah. So it's sort of looking at it that way. But, like that had stuff not happened before. So it is what it is. Hopefully the hypo clown stuff proves out. At least clown. Just give me one of them. I mean, it has to. Well, it doesn't have to be clown, but everything has to be het clown because the clown's a visual. But prove out the girl for clown or hypo. You know, one of them. If the girl proves out for hypo, that means the clown has had hypo, which is awesome. Then he's staying.
Yeah, then he stays.
And then we just wait a long time, or get a different girl. So we'll see. But we're getting on towards dinner time. I don't want to keep you too much longer.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got to get off here soon to finish dinner up.
But yeah, since I mentioned to you backstage that I'm probably gonna get called away to go see a buddy. So
right.
With that being said, we'll wrap it up. Thanks to everybody for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.
Catch me on Tuesday. Hopefully, I get some sleep Monday into Tuesday, and I'm not half asleep when I'm doing my All Things Considered show and falling asleep. And So I was thinking things in my head, but the connection between that and my mouth in the morning
wasn't working.
It wasn't working. So I was like, you know, whatever I was thinking up here, it didn't come out the same way. I was like, man, this just
ain't happening. That's what kind of
like, okay. I'm gonna work remotely in the morning, and then, you know, took a little nap, and then caught myself.
My last Mofo Mondays like that, it just wasn't coming out right. What I was trying to, it just wasn't working. So I ended it 15 minutes early.
I had something planned, but I just couldn't muster it out. But 10 minutes of me rambling, I guess, but something like the normal. But anyway, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Ken, for hopping on and bailing me out because I was lazy or whatever.
Anytime.
I didn't have a guest, and I needed something besides me talking. But anyway, catch you guys on Tuesday and Thursday, and then we'll see you. When we see you.
So you want to see it?